camp. Damar Hamlin speaking again for the first time back on the field, full pads today. Here's Hamlin now.
You know what I mean? But I'm rooted in my faith. I'm rooted in, the love that I receive from my family, my teammates, and the love all around the world. That it keeps me going. You know what I'm saying? And I got goals that I still want to achieve within this game. And football teaches you so much about yourself. It teaches you so much about life. You learn so much about yourself through the game. You know what I mean? And honestly, nothing. What bigger challenge? You know what I mean? It's a challenge. So I'm embracing it.
What was it like for you out there mentally as you were out there during practice?
You know what I'm saying? For me, it was tough, just first day in pads, but just trying to keep everything as normal as possible. And, just having my family there today, that was like that joy, that brightness, just to keep everything in perspective, that I'm gonna be okay.
Tomorrow we talk a lot about the big moments, like first day of this, first day of that. What are the ordinary moments that help you kind of stay balanced of like, this is a sport I've done all my life? What are those small moments today that meant a lot to you?
Just staying on schedule, teammates just motivating you, grouping up with the DBs, whether it be, and us all being on the same page as far as our focus for the practice, you know what I'm saying? There's always a focus of each practice. So, just keeping that the main thing, and I always like to see the world, I always like to see the world bigger than myself and outside of myself. So, everybody that's taking our field is going through something mentally, whether you know it or not. So, I keep that in perspective as well, regardless of the situation or how in-depth it might be. But, everybody's going through their own situation. So I keep that in perspective, and I try to uplift everybody around me as well.
Have the Bronny situation happen just before? I mean, how much was that? And you spoke well out there.
Mm-hmm.
How much was that a reminder of anything that happened just right before games started?
Honestly, a super big reminder, you know what I'm saying? It put everything back in perspective for me. Prayers out to him, prayers out to his family. They've been really big and supportive and reaching out to my family as well, so I just want to be able to extend that back to them. And, I wanted to let him know I'll be there, for whatever he needs on his journey as far as his recovery and, getting back to his sport if that's what he chooses to do. You know what I mean? So, it put everything in perspective for me, but, I made a decision. My family, my mom and my dad, they were behind me, which either way I wanted to go, playing or not. So, but if this is the decision we're going to make, we're going to go with it and keep going. So, I made my decision, so I'm living with it.
Damar, I followed you through a good portion of the practice, and you didn't seem hesitant all that much. I mean, I saw you step up a couple of times into some potential contact and that sort of a thing. Can you kind of take us inside that a little bit? What is that like mentally for you in those moments? Are you hesitant at all, I guess?
Man, this is a football. You can't hit that field with no hesitation. You know what I'm saying? You putting yourself in more danger by doing that. So you know what I mean? Like I said, I made the choice to play. But I'm processing 1,000 emotions. I'm not afraid to say that it crosses my mind of being a little scared. Here and there. But like I say, my strength is rooted in my faith, and my faith is stronger than any fear. And so that's what I want to preach up here, and that's the message I want to spread onto the world. That as long as your faith is stronger than your fears, you can get through anything. And so that's what I'm living by right now.
Damar, it's one thing to basically talk about your experience and encourage people to get certified, but you've been really at the forefront of being a part of that. What's that been like for you this offseason to go to these places and really be involved in all that at the forefront?
I feel like it's a new mission for me. It's pretty much just growing through what you go through. And, I feel like it's a personal mission to travel the world and get everybody CPR certified, you know what I mean? So over the off-season this year, we went in Pittsburgh, we did Buffalo, and we did Cincinnati events through my foundation as far as, getting as many people as we can in the city CPR certified and donating AEDs to the local youth sports leagues, across the town. So, that's my mission. I couldn't conquer the world in one off-season, but, we're in the works of planning so many more cities, as far as next year and in years on to come, so that'll be my mission forever because it's so important and it's so effective and it affected me directly. So, I like that's how you find purpose, you know what I'm saying, by going through something and then, learning from it and making the world a better place from things like that. So,
Damar, you said you have more goals when it comes to football and obviously off the field as well. What are some of those goals, maybe when it comes to football specifically, and how do you kind of balance that with things like it's just another practice, and also like kind of crossing off some of those goals?
Well, right now, my goals is just one day at a time. You know, even my big goals, honestly, I can't even focus on those right now. So my goals is just one day at a time, just coming out and practice, focusing on one period, 1 second, one play, one step at a time, honestly. So, you know, my big goals, I can't even mention them right now because I'll be in the wrong headspace even thinking about them. You know, thinking that far down the line, it makes me not lose focus, but it puts emotions inside of me that I don't even need to be dealing with or processing right now. So as long as I stay one day at a time, one step at a time, 1 second at a time, one meeting at a time, you know, I stay in the right headspace, you know. And my mindset right now is just being ready for the Buffalo Bills whenever they need me.
How's your family out there?
Damar Hamlin speaking right now to the media, describing a roller coaster day. He's calling it a super hurdle to be out there again. He's been practicing with the team at camp and during the offseason, but the first time he's been fully suited up in the pad since what happened in January, his cardiac arrest after taking that hit on Monday Night Football. Just incredible to listen to him there. We're going to have much more from Hamlin and the rest of the team coming up in our evening shows here on News 8.